Vince, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well, dude. How are you, man? I know you're kind of battling the storm, so to speak.
Yeah, sort of. I guess it's supposed to come in tonight, so I had to make arrangements with that with my store, shut it down for the day, get ready for it. But it's just gonna pass over. I think shouldn't be too bad.
Oh, that's good. Glad to hear that, man. I'm out of the way of it, thankfully. So, how's the off season going so far, man? You're 3 weeks, just about 3 weeks post show.
Yeah, so we're just breaking into the off season. I'm not doing anything. Nothing's planned. Uh,
Right.
Atlanta. So yeah, we're just barely peeking into the off season, man.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the kind of the plan going forward? Did you get any feedback from the judges at Savannah and in Texas?
Yeah, for sure. So immediately getting off stage in Dallas, I was able to run into Tyler and all them and just get immediate feedback. So they're looking for wider quad sweeps, thicker, denser back, and just overall size. And then I got some of the same feedback when I left Savannah, but they added in a little more upper chest. But for the most part, everything looked good. It's just increasing and the size and density. So that's what the goal is and the target for the off season is. So right now, just being 3 weeks out or 3 weeks from the show and just kind of starting the off season, it's all about just kind of being healthy, making sure everything's right before we do anything else. We make sure everything is on the rebound and on the good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good that the feedback was consistent too, because I know
Yeah.
sometimes different judges look for different things, and you have to ask yourself, well, which one do I want to prioritize more in my training? And it's good that at least you have like a clear direction of where you want to go with your off season and in terms of like bringing
Yeah.
those body parts.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I've been hearing the same kind of feedback for probably the last 3 or 4 years. So when they told me that, I was like, yeah, okay. On it, trust me. But yeah, I mean, the consistency of it, eighth and ninth, I didn't feel like I needed to go any further than that and, placing like that consistently. So it was time to start the off season, make the improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's, eighth and ninth so eighth at your pro debut in Texas is definitely, nothing to sniff at, I guess. That's pretty impressive in my mind, especially at, a show where you got a couple of guys going to the Olympia. I mean,
Oh
same thing
yeah.
in Savannah. Like, I think when I was talking about that show beforehand, I said probably three or four of those guys could go to the Olympia this year if they just continue to compete.
Oh, for sure.
Because like the competition there was very solid. So I
Yeah,
mean,
everybody
hats
like.
off to you there. So curious. So what got you started in bodybuilding? You have kind of a cool journey that I was looking through your Instagram pretty recently and saw you started out in men's physique. So
Yep. Sure
so
did,
journey
man.
all the way from men's physique guy in 2015, was that your first show?
Yep. Palmetto Classic in here in South Carolina, 2015.
Okay.
Fifth place out of like, I don't know, I think there was like 14 or 15 guys. So it was fun, that experience. That's when I was hooked right then. So, but what got me into it, man, what got me started is I don't know. I started lifting with my dad in the basement, probably when I was like 13 years old. He'd have long days and he'd come home from work, and that's just what we did. We'd spend some time together and lift some weights in the basement. Then I joined the military. I did 9 years in the military, so I had a lot of physical background in that. And then when I got out, I had a buddy. He's like, no homo, but you look pretty good, man. Like, you got a physique. I know this guy, he coaches people for bodybuilding. I knew what bodybuilding was. I mean, Jay Cutler and all those guys were battling it out. I remember getting the magazines in the mail from my parents when I was deployed to Iraq and stuff, and just seeing Jay Cutler, battling out on the front. So I know what bodybuilding was, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what went into it. So after the military and like maybe a semester of college, I met this guy and he introduced me to my first coach. And I was like, I could probably do that. I mean, why not? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, and here you are 6 years later, or seven years now.
Yeah, 7
Classic
years.
Physique Pro.
Yep.
You went pro 2021 Universe, right?
Yep, I sure did. It was masters middleweight bodybuilding, actually.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. I was looking at some of those photos too, and I was like, man, you could have probably taken it in classic physique too, if you'd competed in classic.
Well, that was the thing, is my cutoff for classic was always 170 pounds. I was always killing myself trying to maintain or make it or not get too heavy to where I wasn't going to be able to make it. And then that year I just said, you know what? Screw it, man. My body wants to grow. It wants to be heavy. So I actually weighed in and stepped on stage at 177 and 7 pounds over like the classic limit and got it, and have been able to go back into the classic since. So kind of worked out.
I mean, that's an awesome way to do things, especially to kind of circumvent the amateur weight cap.
Yeah,
because those are pretty stringent weight caps from what I hear from a lot of. I personally, like, I don't know, I don't have trouble making weight, thankfully, just because like I like look a lot bigger than I really am, which is kind of, you know, like a blessing from a bodybuilding standpoint.
Sure.
But I mean, I know so many guys who are like, I have trouble just sucking down to make weight for classic. What are your thoughts on just the weight cap for classic? Because we have different weight caps for amateur versus pro. And
Sure.
I saw somebody do a poll the other day, and they were like, well, what do you guys think in terms of, should those be the same weight cap? Should they raise the pro weight cap? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it should be pretty consistent, because it's consistent for the amateurs when they're competing and they have something to target for and work for. But I mean, like for myself, it just didn't work out. I don't think I could still be trying to become a classic pro right now in the NPC. Who knows if I didn't let myself put on that 7 pounds and just go for bodybuilding. So I think it should be pretty consistent. I like that there's structure and like a cap to it and things like that. It keeps things a little more competitive, keeps bodybuilding mass monsters, stuff like that. Some people just don't want to get that big and walk around like that, but it should be consistent. I mean, Dallas, when I checked in, I was only able to be 180 based off my height. I checked in Savannah just a few weeks later, and I could cap out at 185 based off of that little piece, man. You know what I mean? So I don't. It should probably be consistent across the board, though, amateur and pro. I think. You know.
Yeah, that's one thing I was listening to. So Josh, he does Bodybuilding News Network. He was talking with Jared Keys, Lamar Shaw, and Justin Batterina, and they were talking about the whole height thing. And then recently, Chris Bumstead just had an interview where he was talking about the whole dilemma of like, he doesn't know if he's going to be 6 foot or 6'1". I definitely think that every year there should be, or at least they put on your IFBB Pro card, this is what we heighted you in at, and then just roll with it for the rest of, you know, 3 to 5 years at least. Because I mean, when you're 25 years old, you're going to be done growing completely. So
sure. I mean, I definitely lost an inch and a half in the military, man. Like I did. I shrank. So yeah, I don't know. It should be pretty consistent. And that's the thing, is I do feel shorter when I'm that lean. It may sound funny, but I've heard people talk to that water, that fat that may be on the bottom of your feet, that may be on your head and your face. I mean, you're literally sucked in to your, you know, tightest possible person being, and then you jump out there to see how tall you are. And I don't know, you might lose a little bit, but it's a big, the 5 pounds, the 180 to 185, that, you know, that's a big deal. You know, it's a lot of weight.
Yeah, it's the difference between suffering and be able to, you know, eat into, you know, like if you've got a weigh-in that's the day of, or, you know, the day before, if you can eat into that, then, you know, that makes a huge difference in look too. So yeah, I definitely think we should probably, you know, standardize that process. It just makes everybody's life easier, and it saves them on the side of the show work, you know, like hiding everybody in every time too. So,
oh yeah, you just step on a scale and check the card.
Yeah,
good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned Jay Cutler, in terms of like, you knew who Jay Cutler was, and like, you know, roughly what bodybuilding was kind of before you got into it. Who were some of your favorite bodybuilders, either growing up or, you know, favorite guys now? Some guys that, you know, you looked to growing up, or, you know, before you got into this, you were like, man, that guy just looks insane.
I mean, I think everybody at some point in time, especially when they're younger, looks up to Arnold. You know, I mean, you can't not think of Arnold when you think of bodybuilding, at least in my opinion. And then as I got older, Jay Cutler for sure. I liked watching him battle it out with Ronnie. He was kind of like the little guy, David and the Goliath kind of thing between me and my buddies when we were in the military and stuff. And then once I really started getting into it and realizing that it's the world of bodybuilding is so much bigger than that. There's a lot of people out there. I really like Lee Priest. His great physique, short little guy. I don't know, maybe because I'm short too. You know what I mean? But Frank Zane he really knew how to show off his physique, and I really like that. So those are my top two probably right there, Frank Zane and Lee Priest.
Yeah, I always, when I think of Lee Priest, I just like, I wonder how he would do 212 today. Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Oh my God, if 212 had been around when Lee Priest was competing, man, he probably would have won the thing 5 times, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous, man. It's fun to watch, their old videos, their old like bulking videos, and he's just sitting down with a public.
The old Priest bulk, where you go cloud mode for the whole off season, and then you show up on stage and just look super peeled. That's honestly, I think that's remarkable, and you don't see a whole lot of guys doing that now. But
no, not really. I think I don't know. It's easier to stay in somewhat kind of a shape. You know what I mean? It's less work. More work in the off season to kind of maintain, but less work when the prep comes. You ain't got to burn off all that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because I was actually listening to Lee talk about this one time. They were asking him about it, and I think his response was, "Well, my body just responded better." So I thought that was kind of interesting too. Like he was like, "Yeah, if I stayed lean year round, it was harder for me to drop weight, but it's also like you're pulling from less too, So it's like the weight's not going to be the weight drop is not going to be as drastic as, if you were huge in the off season. So I think that's kind of my argument to it, but
yeah, I mean, it's fun to eat. I mean, that's one of the fun parts of it, but you got to eat all the right stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So speaking of eating, so what are your go-to meals on prep, in the off season, just things you like to eat all the time? I know a lot of people have this perception of, bodybuilders just eat the same shit all the time. I mean, it is true, but like also, I try to get creative with things when I, make my meals and stuff. What are some of the things that you like to eat?
I mean, I actually don't mind the prep food. I've always been a big fan of turkey, sweet potatoes, rice, white potatoes, some kind of a green asparagus or something like that. It's always been there. I've always liked it. But after it becomes so monotonous and over again, I mean, I like to spice things up with spices, man. Just look into different, walk down the aisle for a little bit, read some stuff, and just try it. I mean, will always be turkey, but it doesn't always have to taste like turkey.
Exactly.
So I don't mind the bro diet, as a lot of people like to call it. You know what I mean? Throw some fish in there for the proteins, different, switch it up, shrimp, keep it going, keep the body guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just rotate out proteins, rotate out different spices, different sauces, rotate out your carb sources.
Yep. Just rotate things out, spice them up, change it up a little bit. I don't know, learn a few things, cook a few meals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the off season, same thing, just more of it, really. With a little more added cheat meals, things like that. My body really likes sweet potatoes. Go figure. So that's always been there. I know I can count on it. So there's the few fallbacks that I stick to, whether I'm prepping for a show or if I'm just in the off season.
Okay. I noticed you really like burgers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What are some good burgers you've had lately?
Well, see, it's funny because I just started since coming off this reverse. I get my one cheat meal a week, and I take it right before leg day. So I've only been able to do this for like 2 weeks, but I started up getting all these local places here in Charleston, South Carolina, writing them down, doing some research on where the best burgers are. And I'm just gonna hit them every cheat meal and do a little thing about it, rate them. I don't know, just have some fun with it. You know what I mean? But burgers are the go-to. I've only had 2 places. So the last one I had was probably going to be the winner. Little Jack's Tavern. It's over in South Carolina, downtown Charleston. But it was fire, man. It was legit.
Well, so what was on the burger? What's your go-to burger order?
I like the classic burger, man. With pepper jack cheese though. So I don't mind. I'll take the lettuce, tomato, the onion, the pickle, the ketchup, the mustard. But I like the pepper jack cheese.
Always a reliable option.
Always.
And you going, if they've got sweet potato fries, you want sweet potato fries, or you going just regular fries?
I go regular fries. I like their if they have like a garlic and herb or a truffle oil fry. That's where it's at.
Yeah, you can't
go cheese on there.
I can't go wrong there with a good burger. I just had one last night too. So in my off season,
what it is, man. I don't know what it is. Just a good burger. A pizza's good too, but I think it's just too much dairy. It's too heavy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Pizza is like anymore. It's like so hard to digest for me. If I have like any more than like 2 or 3 slices, it's just it's rough.
Yeah, it's a lot. Too much dairy, I think. I don't get a lot of it during like prep and stuff, so you can't just jump right back into that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to die.
So, so in terms of training, what's your favorite muscle group to train, or like?
I got 2. I really like doing shoulders and legs.
Mm-hmm.
Fans of both of those. I didn't always used to like legs. But I think after seeing like the strength and the progression and the size and the detail over the years come out, it's become one of my favorite ones to do.
Okay. What's kind of your general methodology to training? Like, do you train? I love just seeing the debates on training nowadays. You have, the one set to all out failure crew, the guys who train like, Dorian Yates and Mike Menser, who they're like, they live and die by the logbook. And then you've got the guys who like, I don't know, Mike Van Wyck, who's like, yeah, I just do everything by feel. I don't track everything. I know exactly in my head what I was doing last week. I know when I'm stronger and when I'm not. What do you generally approach training with?
I guess all goal oriented based off of what we're trying to accomplish at that time. You know what I mean? But I do like to have a warm up set with 3 or 4 working sets after 10 to 12 reps, usually slow and controlled. That's the way I like to work out too, as well. Just if you can't control the weight, then you know what I mean? I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Then it's like powerlifting at that point.
Yeah, probably there's a line, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't just control the weight, I'll re-rack, reassess, and go from there.
Yeah. Cool.
A little bit of cardio.
Yeah. So with the discussion on leg day being one of your favorite things to train, we got the classical kill. You got the hack squat, the pendulum squat, and the barbell squat.
All right. Well, as sexy as those other 2 are, I'm gonna have to go ahead and marry the barbell squat.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I'll marry that one, and we're gonna kill the pendulum squat, and we're fucking the half squat.
What type of hack squat are we working with? We working with like a Cybex, or what are you usually using in terms of a hack squat?
Just whatever's available, really. I mean, I like to bounce around, so I have a little gym in the back of my shop. I like to go head over to the local Golds every now and then, but whatever's available, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I know some people really like the typical roughly 45-degree hack squat, and then there are others who like the one. I don't know if you've ever tried one that's by Arsenal. It's like kind of it's more like a hinging type of thing, and I've seen people do anything from like RDLs on that, or not RDL, like a good morning on it. There's like too.
Now I don't mind that one too much. The ones I can't stand though are any of them that have the curved foot. Yeah, anything curved, it's got to be flat. I don't know. It just messes with my knees if it's just not flat. So, but that's why I got to marry the barbell squat, man.
Man, Tom Platz, if he was listening, he'd love that.
You can't go wrong with it, man.
Tried and true.
Yep, throw it on your back and get going, man.
So what are some things you like to do outside of bodybuilding? What are your hobbies and interests when you're not, competing and
Yeah.
running your business?
I like documentaries a lot. You know what I mean? Like, especially, the outer space UFO crap. It's fun. It's interesting to me. You know what I mean? I'll sit down for 45 minutes, an hour, and watch like the Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if you've seen or heard anything about that. Look into it. It's pretty interesting stuff, man. I don't know, just something to kind of like take your mind off of things and just zone out for a little bit. Look and think about the unknown. You know what I mean? Take a break. It's cool. It's interesting. Bigfoot. You know what I mean? Come on. How could you not want to know if that guy's really real at some point? Yeah. Ghost
Yeah.
adventures.
Yeah, some of those conspiracies are like really, really interesting because they get some of these just like wild people. Like you're like, where did they find this person? And they're like,
Right.
yeah, I've seen Bigfoot 85 times, and I've lived my entire life on this mountain, and like I swear to God, I've seen Bigfoot.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of those are, questionable. I mean, they're definitely for entertainment. You know what I mean? A lot
Yeah.
of them. But some of that good stuff, just the a little more serious ones are pretty interesting. You know what I mean?
So we got documentaries.
Yeah. Hang
So
out with my dogs.
yeah, your dogs. What kind of dogs
Yeah.
you got?
I've got two dogs. I got a chocolate lab and a little rat terrier thing. We rescued him. So he's a mix of like 11 breeds probably, but he looks like a miniature pincher terrier mix.
Okay.
But they're old, man. They're both like 11 plus, so they just hang out and chill with me.
Yeah, that's the best, man. Chill dogs are the best.
Yeah.
So in terms of what you do outside of bodybuilding, so you also run a business. You're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously we got your shop right there behind.
Yeah, man.
Nutrition.
You're in the war room. This is my office. Had to get the background. Been running Apex Nutrition, a supplement shop in Charleston, South Carolina since 2018. So June was 4 years. Creeping in on 5 pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. Good times, ups and downs, but I'm making it.
Yeah. So what have you found has been like, the biggest key to your success in business, and has any of that, like, have you taken any of that and translated it over to bodybuilding?
Patience. Lots and lots of patience. You can't just expect to open up and blow up and be successful overnight. It takes time. It takes lots of lessons learned. So patience for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think as I get older, I realize is important in all aspects of life, man, especially bodybuilding, especially when you're rolling out of a show and you want to improve certain things, and you're like, I got to take it gradually. You can't just, slap on, 10, 15 pounds of muscle like that. I truly think bodybuilding is the biggest game of patience, like across all sports.
Pretty close to fishing. I mean, you just gotta sit there and wait sometimes. You just gotta wait it out. I mean, you can't, I got excited my first year. I did like 3 shows. They weren't back to back either. They were kind of spread out. You know what I mean? I just didn't have the patience in the beginning at that time to step back and let myself grow and let myself become what it should be. So that's the next, just taking this nice long off season and have some patience and grow.
Yeah.
Lift, man. Sleep.
Yeah. Sleep is huge, man. That's the one thing that a lot of guys, especially when you're, working a job and, everything, taking care of a family, that's the biggest key, I think, and probably one of the hardest things to nail too.
Yeah, sleep stuff, stress, everything plays into that stuff. So just learning to bring back your own chi. Just take a step back and relax.
Yeah. Do you like meditate or anything, or do you like, in terms of like recovery, what's your go-to for recovery?
CBD has been pretty helpful. THC has been wonderful. I don't know, man. Nice hot baths, Epsom salt baths for sure. You know what I mean? Just soak it out. I try to hit the saunas when I can, but some places around here have those really cool cryotherapies too. You can or do the cold plunge or do leg compression therapy and things like that. I try to get into those too when I can. But it's not always cheap. So here and there, massages for sure, one of my favorites. Again, not always the cheapest thing to do, but definitely beneficial.
Yeah, agreed. So Olympia this year, do you usually tune into the Olympia?
I try to, man. I like I'd say in the first couple of years I started competing, I did more, and then it was weird. I kind of fizzled out from tuning in and watching that. I think 'cause I was just so hell bent on working on myself, and working and winning and like getting ahead. And then obviously now it's kind of like, hey, the people you're watching on stage are the people you're standing next to on stage. So you kind of want to pay attention and kind of just see how they look, how they stack up next to everybody. Be like, I was standing next to him. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just kind of you pay a little more attention to it. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more interesting now. It's there. It's in your face. You lived it. You experienced it. So you want to pay a little more attention. So I'm looking forward to this year, though. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit different this year because it's like, guys like Chris Hunt and Blake, you've like stood next to them at shows.
Yeah, for sure.
Courage and Valentine.
Yep. All good guys, too, man. All just be up there.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I like, since getting into this, it just seems like all the classic guys are just really solid dudes all around.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure.
So in terms of predictions, do you like anybody specifically to win, or is there anybody you're looking out for?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Terrence Ruffin. I'm pulling for him. I think he's always brought it, man. He's always looked good. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you just have like some Chris Bumstead and then us shorter guys. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but I think I'm pulling for him. I think he looks great. I don't know if you saw his last post, his little physique update was pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's looking sharp, and we're 11 weeks out. So I mean,
yeah, plenty of room, plenty of time.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I was looking at recently, and I don't know, man, he might give some trouble because I think his arms have grown, which was like his biggest thing. I think really he like the main criticism of him was just bigger arms, a little bit more on the quad sweeps, and he would be good. Like his posterior chain is just nuts. Like his hamstrings and his glutes are just peeled to the bone. Just so much like tissue back there too. And I think probably a little bit more in the lats too, but like it looks like he's grown a considerable amount.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you see them getting rewarded a lot more for conditioning or size?
Man, that's tough because I think it depends on the judges, truthfully. Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the set of judges. Now, I think specifically from like just following the sport for roughly like half a decade now and just seeing how like Steve Weinberger tends to judge things. I don't think Steve is as big on conditioning as maybe some of these other like local judges or, judges who are doing shows that are, like the tier 4, shows. I think Steve tends to reward just like the best package in terms of like shape, size, conditioning. Like it's all just like on this sliding scale, this gradient, man, because it's like you could have a guy who is just peeled out of his mind, but then, he like loses a little bit in terms of shape compared to the guy he's standing next to and being compared to. And the guy might be a little bit less conditioned, but his shape just like makes up for it. I think it's just, it's so tough to say.
That's why I'm not a judge. I'll voluntarily just stand up there and be a judge, but I think it would be pretty hard to be a judge.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And especially with like if we look at the Arnold UK this past weekend, just how close it was there. And I think it was kind of interesting because when they called out, I'm not sure if you like cut the results, but it was Michael DeBoule ended up winning the Arnold UK in Classic Physique. Then it was
Okay.
Christian Zagarella. He won the Yamamoto Italy a few weeks back, and then Wesley Vissers took third. But when they called Wesley for third, the crowd just started booing because they thought Wesley was going to win.
Yeah,
So
he's always thought and sought to be like, you know, the prime winner, the prime taker. I've noticed, but I mean, it looks amazing. So
yeah, that's the thing, man. Wesley's like super classic, but truthfully, I think any one of those guys could have won that show. Like it goes back to the, does conditioning make up for, shape and size
yeah,
and everything too? Because like, I mean, Michael DeBoel is going to be the most peeled guy on stage on any stage he takes. Like he's inside out at like 8 weeks out. So like I remember watching a video of him. He was posing and he just like he goes to hit a back double and he just passes out. Like, and this was like 3 or 4 weeks out. I'm like,
watch
oh
this.
my God.
Hold my shaker bottle.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it'd be super hard to be a judge. Although I would really enjoy it too, because especially at like the local level, if you're just judging amateurs, I think there's a lot of like interesting things that take place at that level too. Like I
Oh,
would
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I sponsor a lot of local shows all over South Carolina, some in North Carolina with, you know, the MPC and stuff, and it's fun to just be there, and, you know, watch and remembering what it was like being your first couple of shows in, just, you know, not knowing what was going on. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on in those little shows. Pretty
Yeah, absolutely. Do you coach anybody at the moment?
no, not really, man. A couple of people here and there. I've only really gotten like 2 or 3 people to the finish line. Those that have stuck with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I help a couple people out, but not really coach anybody right now.
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot on your plate, as it
Yeah,
is with your
for sure.
business and competing on your own. So
Yeah, I got Apex. Last year I launched a pre-workout.
yeah,
So
Predator.
yep, been working with that. That just sold out again. So now I'm waiting for that to come back around. Logistics and everything are fun, man. It's a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome though. It's really good to hear that business is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its ups and downs. I mean, pandemic, you know, everything got pushed through that, and then everybody seems to be getting kind of back in their routines now. School's back in session, and you know, this last summer, I guess, was one of the first summers anybody could really do anything. So definitely slowed down, but I didn't mind, man. I was doing stuff too. Yeah.
So something I wanted to ask you about too. So kind of getting back to the whole, you mentioned like the tall guy versus short guy thing. Um,
Yeah.
Classic's still looking for its look, and if you look at the rules and the guidelines on the NPC and IFBB websites, there's really nothing that defines what the judges are looking for in terms of
Right.
like we want this, and this is what we're going to reward. So in your mind, like what's classic? What features make up a classic physique?
I mean, typically when when I think of bodybuilding, like that is classic to me. Frank Zane, Arnold, back that the bodybuilding era, that was classic. That is the classic of bodybuilding. But I think what separates it is the thinner V-shaped waspier waist compared to the blockier, straightforward bodybuilding that is, you know, now and today. There's a lot more style and I think personal influence you can put onto the classic physique and in your posing and stuff like that. A little more freedom there. But definitely just that the waistline has it's noticeably smaller than your typical just bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And making that work out for you well. So the style, the fluidness of classic posing. It's just definitely it's a look, and I also think it's a lot within the posing. Almost all the posing is the same as bodybuilding, but you can tweak it, you can make it look better. I mean, they also say no most muscular for
Yeah.
classic, so they make that distinction, that separation. But
Yeah. What do you think?
bodybuilding is bodybuilding.
Do you think they should add any poses to the mandatories? Do you think there are any poses being left out?
Yeah, I don't know. um, let's see. No, I don't think anything's really being left out, honestly.
You don't think so?
No, I kind of like that the way it is, honestly. I don't know. I mean, they list it for you what they're looking for, so
Right.
it seems to be enough, in my opinion. They don't always go through them when you're on stage and you're doing your mandatories and stuff like that. Is weird. You get them ready and you want to do them and show them, and next thing you know, you're just filing off. This was like 10 seconds. Like, oh, okay. Well, see what's next.
Thoughts on vacuum versus no vacuum?
I like the vacuum. I can't do one very well. I'm working on that though. I definitely need to get that better, even if it's not like a complete belly button to spinal cord vacuum. It does make some poses look good, but I don't think just because you can do it, I don't think you should hit it every single time. Ab and thigh, they want to see ab and thigh, in my opinion. So maybe start with the vacuum and finish with some abs. You know what I mean? It's not a vacuum and thigh, in my opinion, but maybe because I'm not very good at the vacuum, I don't use it all the time. But I don't think it's a great pose, but it shouldn't be a part of every pose.
Yeah. No, definitely agree with you, man. I do like the look of a vacuum, especially if you're a guy like me and you have a shorter torso. It definitely will help you out in terms of like creating that illusion of a smaller waist.
For sure.
But I've also heard that like with the ab and thigh, if you're doing a vacuum, you should start with actually like hitting down on your abs and then go to a vacuum. Because that's what I see a lot of the guys who do the vacuum do, at least like, top guys like, like Chris and like Urs. That's what they do. That's what, at least posing coaches have suggested that because like, getting into the pose first and then in like showing like, hey, I have these abs and now check out this cool vacuum I can
Look what I can do.
do.
No,
So your
it's
favorite
cool.
classic pose? What's your favorite classic pose?
Well, I mean, recently the one that I've been using was the left arm on the just under the lat and throwing up the right bicep and kind of putting that tweak and lean into it. I've always thought that was a pretty good pose. So right now, at least that one's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really solid pose for you. I actually, man, I gotta say, I think my favorite shot of yours is like anything. I think your side shots are just crazy, dude. Like your hamstrings are like
Thanks, man.
nuts, dude. Like I think, honestly, like I'm looking at like some stage photos. I'll share my screen. But man, I think your side shots especially. This is Vince's Instagram. You guys should definitely go follow him at Vince
Yep, there's the burger.
_ IFBB Pro. There we go. Shameless plug. All right. So I was looking down here. Yeah, we got some photos from Texas right here. Yeah. So this is front double, Vince in the middle. Let's see. Oh shoot. I gotta go back to that one. Yeah, see this side shot to me, man, your hamstrings are just like you look at everybody's hamstrings, and this is no knock to these guys because these guys are fantastic bodybuilders, but like the hamstrings just pop. Woo.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on that pose last off season. I just felt like that's one of it could be probably one of the most powerful poses on stage. And if you get it right, you know what I mean? So I really like that one. So I worked on it a lot.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome pose for you, man. Let's see. Damn it, I keep doing that. And then the back double. I really like your top line too. You got a really filled out top line. That's one thing I see. I really like how you hit the pose here with your arms like above parallel, because I think there are a lot of guys who hit this pose and they try to hit down on the lats a little bit too hard. None of these guys are good, but like I just noticed there are a lot of guys who hit down on the lats a little bit too hard and they're trying to get more width, but their biceps and their triceps look smaller because of it. And I think the biggest key to just really making like your top line pop is keeping those arms like at or above parallel. That's the biggest thing that I tell guys who like, ask me about posing and stuff too. Because man, you can really like draw the lats out by doing that. And then also you just get all the pop with your arms and your delts here too.
Yeah, back shots are like one of my weakest, I think, honestly, just because I can't see it as often. Like, I mean, I can't walk into the bathroom and keep going. I got to have something where I can see what's going on back there. But yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody's got their own style and every way of hitting stuff, and you try to maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, and take some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we got the ab and thigh, you in the middle, hitting down the abs.
In every show, I've learned something different. You know what I mean? Applied a lot of things I learned from Dallas and took that to Savannah.
Yeah, what were some of the things that you would say you took from Dallas to Savannah?
I guess just like the calmness, you know what I mean? Okay, they got the jitters out of there, more just present. Like I said, I was just happy and excited to be there in Dallas and was having fun and doing my thing. But then I got into Savannah and the planning behind it, you know what I mean? Just it wasn't so new to me anymore. So it's a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's probably like a pretty crazy feeling, like stepping on that pro stage for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you're behind the curtain and then you're on stage and that's it. Yeah, go do your thing. Got a little excited, just excited to be in the moment, and kind of blacked out for what I was going to pose, what the next pose was going to be, and then you just kind of flow with it and go with it, man.
Yeah,
but it was fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Probably a little early to say since you're literally just now like starting your off season. Do you have any ideas of like, doesn't even have to be a show you got picked out, but are there any shows that you've like always wanted to do, or shows that you could see yourself doing?
I always thought it would be cool to do the Puerto Rico Pro, just to go to Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? A Chicago Pro would be pretty legit because I was born and raised in North Chicago, up until I joined the military at 18. So it'd be always cool to go back home, do a local show in that aspect of things. I did do the Chicago Nationals 1 year, and so it was fun to go back home and have some people that still were in the area come out and watch you compete and stuff like that. So to be able to do that as a pro would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I've heard that's a pretty cool show too, and probably similarly run as the Savannah Pro, because I think that's a Wings of Strength show.
I believe so too. Yeah.
Yeah, and always really solid competition, the Chicago Pro too. So
I mean, I've noticed that every show is starting to have pretty decent competition nowadays. I mean, they're just kind of sneaking in there, you try to be strategic with it, but everybody looks good. Everybody just drops in. You're like, oh shit.
Well, especially with Classic, man, you got guys coming down from Open 212. You got guys coming up from Men's Physique.
Yep, it's funny. That's where I started, but that's just because there wasn't a Classic Physique. So.
Right. Yeah. I'm seeing all these guys now. You got the guys in the board shorts who just have these quads just popping out of the board shorts, and you're like, could this guy even make the weight cap?
Shorts are screaming.
And then
do you even have a weight cap in physique? I thought it was just height.
I
don't even know what it is.
So in men's physique, there's no weight cap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So these guys, I mean, you got some of these dudes who are 250 pounds, practically lean.
Yeah, I mean, they're just bodybuilders in board shorts, man.
Pretty much, man.
I remember, like, because when I started in physique, it was like Steve Cook. They didn't look the way they looked now. Basically, it was a little bit more of, I get what were they going for, just a fit beach guy at that point? Like, I don't remember, but now they're just mass monsters in board shorts. It's nuts.
But the aesthetics are crazy too, and I think some of the best posers come out of men's physique too, because a lot of those guys just move so elegantly too. So I think it's always super cool to just see guys move in the Classic, because I mean, let's face it, I think bodybuilding is going in the direction where it's like Classic is going to be the main event at some point.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a lot more in there, but everybody's always going to want to see how big they can get. You know what I mean? And there's only going to be like 1% of the 1% of the 1% that can do that, or will take that and go that far with it. And it'll always be entertaining for sure. Everybody's going to want to see that big guy up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot more numbers in classic, you know?
Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm noticing, at least now, is I think a lot of the classic guys are most of the top guys are from North America. It's like, I mean,
Mhm.
occasionally you have, like Urs is from Germany,
Yeah.
Ramon's from Brazil, but like for the most part, like North America, like Canada and USA, just like
I don't know
dominant.
what they're eating up there in Canada, but
Man, they got some big dudes up
they're
there.
coming down and coming down.
There's not, it's like there's not a whole lot of Canadian guys, but like the Canadian guys are just like from top to bottom, just very, very quality classic
Yep.
competitors. But like, it seems like open is kind of a global thing. Like all the top guys are from, I mean, obviously you've got, Rami from Egypt, you've got
Yeah.
Hadi, I think Hadi's from Iran. Um, like, you got these guys from all over the world. Whereas like I think classic right now, at least it's still dominated by North Americans. So I'll be intrigued to see if, we start seeing some guys coming out of like the Middle East, or like um maybe even like Asia. Like we did have Branch Chen that one year, who came over from China. He'll be at the Olympia again this year because he won Vancouver, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it is crazy. It is definitely North American dominated.
Yeah.
And really like,
um yeah, so I was gonna see, you have any shout outs or any sponsors you want to give plugs for?
well, of course, I got to, shout out Apex Nutrition, the supplement shop in the Low Country of Charleston, South Carolina. Predator R&D, it's the pre-workout that I made. Hopefully that'll be back on the shelves very soon. Rejuvenate HRT, it's an HRT clinic that's hooking me up, that I work with. Great guys. Amino Pure Labs, great stuff. Again, working with those guys just recently. So I appreciate all of them. That's how I get to do what I love to do, man. Lift weights, eat some food, watch some documentaries.
And can people find Apex and Predator like online? If they're not like in the Low Country area, can they buy it online?
Yeah. So they all got the websites, apexnutritionsc.com for South Carolina. And then predatorrnd.com for the pre-workout.
And you guys know that this pre-workout's good because we're still waiting on it to get restocked. So
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I just, the first time around, it sold out pretty quick, and it was such a new, small little operation but every time that we can order more units. We started at 3, then we went to like 375, 450, so on like that. But it just keeps moving, keeps selling out. We just having a hard time keeping up with that sometimes, but it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. So just, again, gotta have patience, man. Work
true.
out.
And where can the people find you on socials?
I'm most active on Instagram, the one that you pulled up, my IFBB Pro like personal page. But I'm pretty active on the Apex Nutrition page as well for the business. I got my Instagram linked to the Facebook, so I really just kind of use the one platform. I'm not on Twitter. I don't tweet. I have a TikTok, but it's just for fun, and I just kind of use it to make content for the other platforms. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can find me on Instagram most of the day, man. I'm on there sometimes, just being bored, being me, being the content. You know what I
All
mean?
right. Well, you
Working.
guys heard it here. So we'll probably wrap there. Vince, I just want to say it was an absolute pleasure having you on, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it a lot.
Awesome discussion, man. I'm super stoked to have had you as my first guest, and
Thanks.
really excited and hope to.
Cherries.
What'd you say?
Popping your cherry, man.
All right, brother. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. Lots of
All
fun.
right. See you, man.
Later.